Life Love Lessons for Women of Faith. So you are a woman of faith. You have overcome over and over again. You have testimonies of passing many tests and victory stories of victorious winnings. Then, why are you hypertensive, high-strung, distressed, depressed, anxious, angry, living life but not loving life? Hi. Life Love Lessons for Women of Faith. So you are a woman. Life Love Lessons for Women of Faith. So you are a woman of faith. You have overcome over and over again. You have testimonies of passing many tests and victory stories of victorious winnings. Then, why are you hypertensive, high-strung, distressed, depressed, anxious, angry, living life but not loving life? Hi, I'm Teacher Hazel. Teaching is my ministry, my career, my life's work. I too am a woman of faith. I have been through the fire, I have been through the flood. Now, my heart's desire is the love dance of God. I am inviting you to listen to Life Love Lessons and talk to me about your learnings from my teachings. Join me on Thursdays at 10 p.m. on my YouTube channel, Abundant Life Mastery at the Call. And let's talk about life love lessons as women of faith. I hope that, yes, so my mic is unmuted now. So let me just repeat. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Life Love Lessons for Women of Faith. And men, yes, you are welcome too, because men is included in woman, even though you are spared the woe. So enjoy with us this evening. Life Love Lessons for Women of Faith. Let's begin with a prayer. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God sustains us. Wherever we are, God is. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. I thank God for you, and I thank you for being here. So, I am Teacher Hazel, Reverend Dr. Teacher Hazel Ann Gibbs DePeza, better known as Teacher Hazel. I'm a teacher by profession. I taught in the education system for 50 years. I'm a teacher by calling. Teaching is my ministry. I'm also a transformational life coach and a life mastery consultant. And I am a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. Yes, I have 10 stars. They're all beautiful and wonderful. And they are the stars of my life. So, Here we are tonight on Life Love Lessons for Women of Faith. Almost 2 years ago, on my YouTube channel, I ran a monthly program, Live Before You Die. Hopefully, some of you may have seen it. And I would have done about 5 presentations for Series 1 with the promise to return with Series 2 some months later. Well, life happened, and more than a year passed, and this new iteration came forward to me. And I decided to go with the flow and stop procrastinating, as my guru leaders will call the paradigm that has been holding me back. So here I am with Life Love Lessons for Women of Faith, with the main intention to encourage you, women of faith, to answer the call to your God-given purpose and access the more abundant life Christ promised you. Jesus said in John 10:10, I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my journey. In my 50 years of teaching, mixed with coaching and counseling, I have noticed that too many women do not love themselves and do not love their lives. They are going through the motions, being good British citizens, keeping a stiff upper lip, smiling and pretending that all is well and that they know that the world is beautiful. Very often, late, very often, too late, we remember that we had a dream, that there are things we love, that happiness is a real experience, that abundant life is our birthright, and love is our purpose. And I know we have all the history and the culture and the rules and the expectations that were pounded into us as children. But don't blame yourself and don't blame others either. It is what it is. It was what it was. But as one of my mentors says, and I quote him, the past may be an explanation for the present, but it must not be used as an excuse for the future. And that is a quotation from L. Anthony Watkins. So we need to learn some life love lessons. I would have been just around 20 when I was hoping to study psychotherapy, because for me, it was the closest field for reaching out to people about their lives and living without making them feel that they were going mad. You know, we have this stigma that whenever you have to get help, that things are bad. No. And this is where coaching comes in, because it's not about you're bad and we're making you better. It's about guiding and giving you the tools to get to the top, right? Every athlete has a coach, every singer, every performer, yes? And we need coaches in life as well, so that we can be the best that we can be. But at that time, the training was only done in universities in London. And there was no way that I could have afforded that. I tried, but there were no scholarships for that type of study. So I went to Teachers College, my second love. And in my later years, After earning my doctorate degree in education, I remembered that segment of my dream. Yes, my dream has many segments. And I started looking for ways to still make it a reality. I thought about doing the psychotherapy program still because I noticed that the need for it was even greater than before. And in my quest, I bounced into life coaching and quantum science and energy mastery. And I fell in love with the new way of guiding people to owning their birthright of abundant living. So now you have an idea, a peek at some of the paths we shall tread in life love lessons. I propose that we will spend about 45 to 50 minutes together, but certainly not more than 60 minutes, okay? And that will be at each session, each Thursday, because we'll be on, God's willing, every Thursday night at 10. I will present for about 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and then the rest of the time, we'll talk to each other using the chat. You will put your questions on the chat, and I will answer them. And please, I'm asking that the questions be focused on the lesson, okay? So not general questions all over the place. We want to focus on what we're talking about. So we begin. Lesson 1. Let us begin the series by defining and decoding the introduction. You remember the invitation to get you here. Yes, the introduction. If you were here at the beginning, you would have heard it being played, where it says, so you are a woman of faith. You have overcome over and over again. You have testimonies of passing many tests. You have victory stories of victorious winnings. Then why are you hypertensive, high strung, distressed, depressed, anxious, angry, living life but not loving life? Seems to me that if you're on the faith road, there are some things you need to be, to do, to know, and to have. So the question is, when we call ourselves, or even others, women of faith, what do we mean? You see, words have meanings, and language in use is called living language. It is very fluid. It changes, it grows, it is living. Because there are dead languages, you know. Yes, Latin is a dead language. Latin words are still used in some realms of study, particularly law and medicine, but they are fixed in their meanings. And there's no community of people who still speak the language. So it's not in use, it's not growing, it's not changing. It is dead. Language that is in use in communities of people is living language. It grows, it changes. But, there's a but. But, while the language is growing and changing, the community of people using the language must agree on the meanings of the words in the language. Perhaps in one of these days we may go deeper into language use and understand some things about the language that we use, about the Creole and you know why it's not English and all of that. Yes, I love dealing with language and linguistics. So words have meaning, and meaning is divided into denotation and connotation. So the word woman denotes or refers to the female of the species of animal called human or mankind or even man. And the word faith denotes or refers to a strong affirmative belief in something or someone. And that, the denotation of the expression woman of faith, refers then to the female of the human species who live with or by a strong belief in a specific someone. That someone is the creator, redeemer, comforter, triune God. I hope you agree with me. The connotation of the expression woman of faith is the understanding by the community of speakers who use it that we are making certain claims. We are declaring some unspoken statements that are understood and that we do not have to explain every time we use the phrase woman of faith. So among the unspoken statements, let me identify 5 claims. So when we say woman of faith, we are claim 1, that we are women who have a relationship with Christ. Christ who told the woman with the issue of blood, thy faith has made thee whole. Matthew 9:22. And that our faith in Christ has restored or revived or rescued us from some situation or situations and has sustained us and made us whole. So that's our first claim when we talk about ourselves as women of faith. Our second claim, we are claiming that we have been through some trials and tribulations, whether money, heartbreak, children, family, land, job, friend, health, whatever. We have passed through some stuff. Some through the waters, some through the flood, some through the fire. And our third claim that we are making when we say that we are women of faith, we are claiming that we have all been through the blood. Sinners plunged beneath the blood lose all their guilt and stain. What can wash away my stain? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. So that's our third claim, claim number 3, that we have all been through the blood. Claim number 4, we are acknowledging that we have passed some tests. We have won some battles. We have come out victorious. We are overcomers. And claim number 5, we are claiming that the source of our strength lies in our faith in God, Creator, Redeemer, Comforter, God personalized in the God-man, Jesus the Christ. I hope you agree with me that when we say woman of faith, that's what we mean. In other words, like the woman in Matthew 9, we touch the hem of the garment of the man from Galilee, and he said to us, daughter, your faith has made thee whole. Yes? So we understand and agree on the meaning of the term women of faith. When we use it in the context of our discourse, we don't need to explain it further because we know who we are talking about. Now let us define the topic, life, love, lessons. So we've defined women of faith. Life, love, lessons. Life. Life is that journey from birth to death that humans experience here on this terrestrial ball. You agree with me? At a defined point in time, which we call birth, spirit lands on this earth plane in an earth suit, a suit designed for living on the earth called a body. Spirit spends a defined length of time experiencing life on earth. And at the end of the journey called life, spirit takes off the bodysuit and leaves the earth plane and the earth experience at a defined point in time, which we all call death. So, we are spiritual beings sojourning on earth, having a human or physical experience. And as spirit, we need to understand our true self. We are spiritual beings. On the tombstones, what we write, or even sometimes on the funeral service programs, between the birth date and the death date, we write a dash. And that dash represents the life lived from the beginning point, birth, to the end point, death, here on the earth plane, the terrestrial ball. I think we can agree that that is what life means. We are spiritual beings having a human experience for a particular point in time. So it's life, love, lessons. We know what lessons are, right? Something to be learned or studied. So it may be a part of a book, it may be an exercise, it may be a section into which a course of study is divided. Yes? So we plan to learn some lessons. And I know some of you are already thinking, what she thinks is she going to teach me as if I didn't know? Wait, hold on. Learning is not just about new information and new content. Okay? Some people will be learning new information and new content. But for the most part, you are going to be learning new ideas, new perspectives, new understandings, new viewpoints, new appreciations, new perceptions about the things you already know. Okay? And now we have love. So, let's move on to what is love. And in the Bible, 1 John 4:8 says, God is love. And 4:7 says, love is of God. There's a song that says, oh, love is a thing that burns inside. And the Calypso says, love can kill, love can cure, love can make a rich man poor. Different aspects of love. I remember in my teenage years, we had a definition for love. Love is a feeling that you feel when you feel a feeling that you never felt before. That was it for us as teenagers in those days. And then there is 1 Corinthians 13 from verse 4, which in the King James Version is written as charity.
In the modern versions, the word is used, love, because that's what it means. So charity or love suffereth long and is kind. Love envieth not. Love vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. So that's love. And we are familiar with all those definitions and aspects of love. So I don't need to dissect them, but we will be getting further into love as we go along in the series. The Nobel Prize winning poet Derek Walcott epitomizes the focus of our life love lessons with these lines from his famous poem, Love After Love. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another. Perfectly put. Let me repeat that poem, that part of the poem. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another. So we have defined our terms and our phrases. And next we shall begin the exploration and application of love to, for, and with life, and the converse of life to, for, and with love as and for women of faith. Remember the question? The question that follows the terms and the phrases we have just defined? Let me repeat the question. Then, why are you hypertensive and high strung, anxious and angry, distressed and depressed? You remember it in the opening statement. Well, Walcott's poem is positing a solution to the problem raised in the question, the problem of loving yourself, reigniting your dream, and assessing and accessing the more abundant life. Do you remember when you used to dream? Do you remember any of your dreams? It is my desire that during and after these lessons, you will love again the stranger who was yourself. You will give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life and whom you ignored for another, whoever and whatever that other happens to be. You see, the great commandment says, love God, love your neighbor. But how do you love your neighbor? As you love yourself. So, love of self is important. That way, you will not just be alive, but you will love your life. Remember what Jesus said in John 10:10? I am come that they may have life and that they may have it more abundantly. So you need to recognize this, right? And love, life love lessons promises to brighten the path to the more abundant life. That's what it is about. And I think I've spoken enough for now. As I said, you may ask some questions. So I will pause and take some questions. We'll discuss it. And then I'll give you a peek into what's coming next week, because we are going to continue from lesson 1 into lesson 2. So, are there any questions for me to answer? So we are in the question segment, and no one has answered questions for me. So let's recap some of what we've talked about. That as women of faith, we make certain claims. We've explained, we understand, so we don't have to explain each time we talk. And when we say women of faith, there is no misunderstanding as to who we're talking about, what kind of women we're talking about, right? And we are going to be moving on in the next lesson to explore claim number 5. As women of faith, we claim that the source of our strength lies in our faith in God, Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. So we're going to be looking at faith from various points of view. What is required and what do we think it is? We're going to be looking at source. We claim that the source of our strength lies in our faith in God. So we are going to be looking at source. We're going to be looking at the real you. Remember, we spoke about a spiritual being putting on an earth suit to spend some time on earth, to have an earth experience, a human physical experience. And it's important that we understand that it's a spiritual being having a human experience, because we've been taught that we are human beings. And if we are human beings, then our focus is on the human aspect of life. But if we are spiritual beings, then our focus is on the spiritual aspect of life. So the spirit is the more important thing. That's where the focus is. That's what's most important. If we are just physical human beings, then the spirit comes after, in second place. And I see we have a question. How can a woman love herself better? And that is exactly what we are going to be dealing with. Because in order for a woman to love herself better, she has to understand the effect. Remember the quotation that the past is an explanation for the present. But we cannot take the past, or we ought not to take the past and make it an excuse for the future. So at some point in time, we have to come to terms with what the past was, where we are now and what we want for our future. As children, we had dreams, and we loved to dream, and we loved ourselves. There's no baby that is born that doesn't love him or herself. I mean, they suck their finger, they suck their toe, they pull all parts because they're getting to know this person, right? And they're in love with themselves, cry when they want to, laugh when they want to, fall down, etc. But as we grow, that love that we have for ourselves is broken by our acculturation. It's broken by some of the rules and some of the expectations that are placed upon us. And therefore, we lose connection. We lose connection with loving ourselves, and we lose that direct connection that we have with the source of our strength. Because remember, spiritual being come down, earth suit, just as when the men want to go on the moon, they put on a moon suit in order to be able to function there. Spirit puts on a earth suit to function here, right? And we are beaten into a place where we don't love ourselves because either we too fat, we too thin, we too tall, we too black, we too fair, all kinds of things, right? My nose too big, and some women get to the point where they try to change their everything about themselves because apparently they feel that God made a mistake somewhere. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't fix the mold properly, and so that we have to come to an understanding of who we really are, our true selves, our connection with our source, and therefore how we proceed to reignite our dreams, right? How we proceed to love again that stranger that was ourselves, that we were ignoring because we got caught up in the human side of the story. And that's what happens when we get too caught up in the human side of the story. I'm a material girl living in a material world. That's the kind of learning that we are given. We are not trained to understand who we really are, to understand our value, and to go after our dreams. So that we sit and dream and we say, I want to be a doctor and I want to be an astronaut. And somebody says, who tell you could be that? And when you hear that often enough, you put down the dream and you let it go because you begin to believe that you can't do it, or that that's not for you, or that you're not good enough to do that. In the coaching business, we refer to those as paradigms that you would have acquired over the years. And you have to understand those paradigms, where they come from, why you have them. And once you understand that and you learn the lessons that will take you through to loving yourself again. Because that's what God wants us to do. He says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So you have to love yourself first, because if you don't have love, you can't give love. So if you're telling your neighbor you love them, or anybody for that matter, but you don't love yourself, then what you're giving is not love, because you don't have it. Okay? All right, so somebody says, can you stress a little on loving yourself, as you put it, seeing the Bible talks against men being lovers of self more than lovers of God? Very nice point to raise. And yes, I intend to work with that. So let me just say The Bible speaks about lovers of self rather than lovers of God because, as I said, we have been trained to think that we are human beings with a spirit. So the focus is on the human self, not on the spirit self. The self that we love is the spirit self. And because the human suit is being used to keep that spirit self going, we have to treat the human suit well. But we have to understand that the real you is not this suit that you're going to take off at some point in time. The real you is the spiritual being who will live on after you've taken off the suit of earth. So yes, we are told that in the Bible, don't be lovers of self more than lovers of God. And when you understand your connection with God as source and you as spiritual being, you can't love yourself and not love God, because you are in him and he is in you. So then there's no problem when you're loving that self about not loving God. It just fits because that's how it's supposed to be. When he said he came that we may have life more abundantly, it's because we were supposed to be having abundant life. And we weren't doing that, and he wanted to ensure that we get more of it. Right? So that you can't do it without love. God is love. Love is of God. You can't do it without love. And we have to bring back that love for that person, that spiritual being that is me. We have to get away from thinking that the physical frame is who we are. So when we talk about loving self, we're not talking about loving common S self. We're talking about loving capital S self, the self that is the replica of God. That's what we're talking about. All right? So, do some of the stuff that we go through make us love ourselves less than others? Yes. Yes. And this is what I was speaking about when I said that our history and the things that we learn and the expectations that were put on us and the constant battering. So you want to do something and you're not good enough, so you can't do it. And this one better than you, and you stay aside, keep quiet, keep out of the way. And especially if you're in a family where some people fair and some people dark, oh boy, you too black, so stay behind. Right? These are the things that we have to unlearn in order to love ourselves, because we have so much negativity being fed into us that we don't love ourselves. And then we have a history where the negativity started. So our history of being enslaved, of being treated as less than a person, all of those things add up to making us not love ourselves. So we always want to be somebody else. And we always want to look like somebody else because we have a problem with loving who we really are, with understanding our value as a person. So yes, and we are going to be going into various areas. As I said, for next lesson, we will be looking at faith, we'll be looking at source, and we'll be looking at the real you, the spiritual you. The you where all the love lives, but it's covered up and bottled down and hidden because of the experiences that we have had. So you need to love yourself because it's the only self you've got. You need to love your life because it's the only life you know. And you need to learn to live abundantly because it's your birthright. Love is our purpose. Love is of God. God is love. And so I hope that you enjoyed our first lesson, life love lesson. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you, and that you are looking forward to lesson 2 when we get deeper into the whole question of loving yourself, understanding yourself, and looking at some of the various things that we are not even aware of. So that, for instance, we talk about our 5 senses. We learn that as children: eyes, nose, ears, mouth, yeah. But they don't teach us about our super senses. As spiritual beings, we have super senses. So we're going to be learning about those things as we go along. So I want to say to you, if there are no other questions or comments coming up, I want to say thank you. So our corrective methods is in our mental capacity. Yes, mental and spiritual. Mental and spiritual. That's where we have to work, because that's where the damage is done. So that's where we have to work. It is said that what a man becomes is a result of what he was when he was a child. How can we teach our children to understand these things as being spirit? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. What we are learning, remember I said that too late we learn? What we are learning now, those of us late in life, are things that we should have been taught when we were small. And it is my hope that when word gets out and people learn to love themselves, that they will teach their children to love themselves, that they will love their children and teach their children in love. You know, let me just take a situation. So you have a little son and father gone and he ain't minding him. And every time he do something, you say, you're stupid just like your father. You're ugly just like your father. I can't stand you just like your father. What is the story that that poor child is learning? That he ain't good. He ain't gonna be nothing. Nobody ain't gonna love him. So then he doesn't love himself either, because he would nothing, right? And you know, this is something that is extremely serious. I will just give you, we have a few minutes. I will just give you one little story. I had this little girl in class who the school thought that she gave a lot of trouble. So that the teacher whose class she was in and all the classes before, they would beat her for every little thing. Because she would come to school late, she would sit down outside eating a whole bag of mangoes when it's lunchtime, and you know. And one morning she came into class and the teacher started to beat her for coming late. And I tripped. Yeah, I was kind of a little more crazy than I am now when I was younger. And I walked into his class and I said to him, Gemishi. And I took, her name was Esther, from the teacher, put her to sit down in my class. And I went to the principal and I said, "Sir, I taking Esther." He said, "What? You're taking Esther?" I said, "Yeah, I'm taking Esther." I said, "She can't stay in that class no longer. Let her come in my class. It's all right. Her name could stay on the roll, but I will teach her. Let her see." He said, "Well, I'm happy if you're taking her because nobody don't seem to want her." I said, "Right, good." So Esther came in my class. And within days, I learned that Esther was a reader. Esther was bright. Esther used to be getting licks for not doing work. Esther was bright. Esther's problem was that she was often hungry, so she would pick the mangoes and the whatever in season and sit down and eat because they're not giving her food home, right? And because of that, she was treated as if she was the worst thing in the school. And within a matter of a few weeks, Esther went home and told her mother, "I have a miss that love me." And her mother said, "What? Nobody can love you." And Esther came to me the next morning and she said, "Mommy, miss, I tell mommy that I have a miss that love me. And she said, nobody can love me." I said, "Tell your mother I want to see her, please." She watched me. I said, "Yes, tell your mother. Come in school, I want to see her." And when she came, "Miss," I said, "Wait. Is this your child?" "Yes, miss." "You sure you make this?" "Yes, miss." I said, "And you tell her that nobody could love her?" "Miss, you don't know how bad this girl is, Miss, you don't know how much trouble she has given. Miss." I said, "So how come she doesn't give me any trouble and she not bad in my class?" And I said, "Why is she coming to school hungry and dirty?" "Well, miss, she father gone and is a next man, he children. He does bring money for he children. So I had to take he money to mine he children because she father ain't bringing no money. So I owe use none of the money to mine she." Now you understand what this poor child is going through? You understand what is going on? The parent has decided that she has no worth because of the experience with the father. And well, I had a little session with her because you can't tell me that you're getting money and you're minding the man children with it and you're minding she because she ain't he child. What are you doing there then? Right? So yeah, in those days I would have asked that question. So that we need to understand what we do to our children by the way we train them. And therefore, they need, when they get to be adult, someone who will coach them around into what it is to love your life and to love yourself and to be the beautiful self that God created, because He created everything beautiful. And we are His prized creation. So, my dears, we've come to the end of our first session. I thank God for you. I thank you for being here. I pray that God will bless you, that you will have sweet dreams tonight, and that we'll meet again next Thursday, same time, same place, to continue the lessons about love and life for women of faith. God bless you.